continuation of the comprehensive plan meeting, planning and zoning comprehensive plan meeting, and appreciate everybody coming today. What we're going to try to do is go through section 8, which is plan elements, and I've got marked where we started last time, or where we stopped, so we'll start there. And if you have any comments as we go through, please let us know. When we're done, we'll set a meeting, the next meeting up, and we welcome any comments from the people who came to, it's your city also, so we'd be happy to hear what you have to say. For those of you that are looking at the plan, it's actually, we're starting on the plan at page 31. We're starting on page 20 of the last handout and page 33 of the 8-1 handout. So, okay. So first one is tourist commercial. And I'm gonna, since we're all on kind of different versions, I'll just go down to the bottom of where I am, and then if anybody, or I can do my comments first, and then if anybody else has any, that would be awesome. So on tourist commercial, my first comment I had was the phrase in there, you cannot expressly prohibit mobile homes. You must prohibit single-family residence if that is the goal. Is that something you're familiar with, or?
I just want to make sure I'm following where you are.
Okay. Which version are you? Which?
I have the one that's dated 7/12.
They're all dated 7/12.
Okay.
Depends on which one Mel sent out. Is it your original one you sent out? That isn't? Is it page by page, or does it have printing on the back of the page?
I have page numbers at the bottom in addition to page like 18 and 48 on it.
Right. Yeah. But does it? Does it have printing on the back of the page, or just a single page?
Well, mine is double, but that might have been just the way I printed it.
Okay. So it's either page, depending on which version you're looking at, it's page 20 of 48 or 33 of 45.
It actually started just at the bottom of,
Yeah.
33
of 48. So it's after tourist residential. You want to look
So
at
I
mine?
have commercial, but not tourist commercial. Is there a difference?
Yeah, this tourist residential is above tourist commercial. We covered that last time. I want to make sure you're with us. Are you okay?
I have just commercial. I don't have tourist commercial. And that goes to the mixed use that I added. You have mixed use.
Right, mixed use is on the next page.
where mine goes from tourist residential to commercial as well, so.
Okay. So the mobile home question, is that expressly prohibited to put, I can read it to you. You cannot expressly prohibit mobile homes. You must prohibit single-family residential if that is our goal.
Right. That's a statutory, you can't, I think we talked about that last time too.
I think we did too.
Yeah.
Okay. No problem there. And then,
So you're saying, if I remember correctly, it is state law that you cannot prevent those going in? Okay.
mhm.
Yeah, if you allow single-family residential, you have to allow what they call manufactured homes.
And
Yeah, and we talked about mobile homes being the old 1970s models. By definition,
Right.
yeah.
right.
But can a city make other provisions, or this is a state law, the city cannot go against?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So then I'm down to 2E, which is mixed use. And it says no more than 48 feet in height. And Mel, is that the number, the max number that we're all comfortable with?
Correct.
48, okay, so nothing. And I noticed on this, it said in mixed use, it has 15 units to the acre. Tourist is 2 to the acre. So,
Tourist residential?
yes,
Tourist residential has 8 dwelling units to the acre. On part C,
okay. Well,
residential general has 6 dwelling units.
there's 88 acres that we're looking at rezoning, and the comp plan said 2, Mel, because that was what they were talking about, I think. So we might have a conflict there.
Give me a minute, I'll bring the LDR here.
we can-
Look it up.
That's just something we ought to flag, and I'll be happy to research that, but I noted that from, just because we looked at the 88 acres, the Corey property, whatever, and they were trying to go from less down to whatever.
So they could do 2 dwelling units to the acre. This would be a maximum 15. So
Right.
they could do anything 15 and under.
I think in
This
their,
is what it's saying.
yeah, in their program though, it said, oh, there you go. What do you got there, Mel?
Mixed use has 24 dwelling units per acre.
Okay. In the Corey property, they're trying to zone it to
It's tourist mixed use. Tourist mixed.
tourist mixed use.
And then it's 2 dwelling units. per
2,
acre.
so that's the difference, okay. So which mixed use is this then?
This is a new one because you didn't have it in the plan. You didn't have one in the plan, so this is new language. Is this their,
That's ours right there.
that's the LDRs?
Yep.
And this is, so, 24 dwelling unit to the acre. So what land use category would that go under? 'Cause I don't think you have a land use category that has 24 dwelling units to the acre. Or is this a PUD? Are they trying to create a PUD?
They're applying for tourist mixed use. It's sent to the state now, which is 2,
Oh, they created a new category.
no,
No?
it's right there, that's the LDR.
Okay. What land use category would that fall under though? Do you have a, because it has to match a land use category.
Before the St. Joe Company annexed the area to our west,
The brown area?
right, this category didn't exist.
Okay.
I understand that was like in 2005, somewhere in that, you know, give or take a couple years.
Actually, it was 06.
06, and then they did create that in the comp plan. So conceivably, when the comp plan was redone in 2007, maybe they didn't pick up that ordinance.
It must not have.
Right, that's my guess.
Do you know what ordinance it would be? Can you look at it?
Oh,
Do you want it, you want to make sure it's consistent? If it's something that was adopted and just wasn't included, then we're
Yep.
good. But you want to make sure it's consistent with the land use category.
Right.
that's adopted.
So we just need to merge those two, merge that into here.
Are you saying that we need to confirm that it was adopted?
Well, there was no doubt that it was adopted.
It's just
Yeah.
not in your
Just not-
plan.
Not sucked over as it probably should have.
The document that adopted in 2006, there was an ordinance that adopted a mixed use category. So it's not in the plan. It didn't get incorporated.
Okay? Great. And then under, does anybody have any mixed-use comments? Got one more.
Well, if there is an existing one that's just not in here, then we probably just need to put that language in here instead of create a new category.
Mhm. That's fine. Just knew they didn't match, so.
Good catch.
So which one has 24 dwellings per acre?
Commercial,
That was the tourist commercial.
On that chart?
yep.
There it is. I'm sorry, mixed use is 24 dwelling units per acre.
Mixed use and tourist mixed use are the two.
Okay, so tourist mixed use means they have houses these houses and retail, you got 2 buildings per acre.
Yep,
So
The big
I see
discrepancy.
24 anything's on an acre is a problem.
right.
Well, I don't know.
And that's why I flagged it.
Unless it's a townhouse.
48 feet, you won't get, almost 15
Say that again.
With
Unless it was
48 foot
federal
height limit, you're not gonna get 24 units on an acre. If you have 50 acres overall, you might get that, but not with just 1 acre. The 48 foot height limit, you're not gonna.
Then why should it even be in there? Because I can guarantee you, some developer at some point is gonna come in here with a plan and try to cram 24 somethings on an acre. We know it, we've seen it.
Well, excuse me, round 2, from what I understand from Mel, is once this document's done, then we go to that document, the LDR, and make sure they match. Because we're changing things here, and we've got to go in there for things just like this.
Okay, so that has a great big red flag by it.
Well, there has to be a land use category to implement the zoning. So that's where I'm buzzing on, and that's why Adrian's gonna send me an ordinance to see what was adopted.
Okay. Well, since we're only working like an hour and 15 minutes, let's box that into a exclamation mark
Check it.
and make sure that we're comfortable. One exclamation being the 24 and the other, the 2, which is right now being applied for, so we just need to make sure we've got that covered. Okay. And I had one more under F in there that said, any residential development within the project boundary shall be located outside of the coastal high hazard area. So,
Okay, on the mixed use part.
yep, mixed use part, sorry. My question on that is, number one, what we were talking about ahead of time, if we're gonna have to define what floods and what doesn't, and all that based on the new memo we got. But what if, for example, an older hotel was demoed and they wanted to build condos where that hotel was? So is this, how are we treating something like that?
So it depends on whether or not that parcel is inside of the coastal high hazard area. So, I'll see if I can download a map or look online at the Bay County, I think has the maps on the coastal high hazard areas to see where that is in Mexico Beach.
Okay. Because I think that's a potential in the future.
And the reason why you have to consider those kinds of things is because there's a policy that says you have hurricane evacuation clearance times, and coastal high hazard area is the #1 evacuation area. And if you add too many people inside of those areas, you'll exceed your hurricane
Right.
evacuation time, and that's all statutory stuff too.
Yeah.
Counties adopted a certain time limit, and I don't know that it was.
Yeah, we could walk to 98 and be gone, so. I saw that farther back in the stuff we're reviewing now. Okay. Next, any other comments on mixed use other than what we talked about? Okay, next one is general commercial with some changes there. We've got that mobile homes are prohibited in this land use category crossed off because of the regulation, I assume.
Well, if you want to have mobile home RV parks in this category, we can certainly re-include that. But you don't have a density assigned to general commercial, so it should just be a mobile home park, and then you have certain parameters on how many per area that you would want to have.
Okay, so what's typical as far as what people are normally including in this category?
For uses?
Yes.
They're usually restaurants, retail, RV parks sometimes, because they're considered kind of a commercial use. They're
Mhm.
not residents or in and out or transient. Just about anything that exchanges goods or services.
Okay, What's Rustic Sands classified as? General commercial?
Well, they're in a commercial district, but they do have a mobile home park there.
Right.
Some people argue no one knows what the real classification is because of the hodgepodge of what they got, but that's another story.
Okay. So we certainly don't want to have it that makes an existing project illegal,
Right.
so we should address that.
So to keep mobile home parks inside of general commercial?
Yep, for now, I think.
Yeah, because Angela Estates is in a commercial zone thing as well, so.
Oh, okay.
And that's a mobile home park.
Okay. I had a question on that, where would amusement, like an amusement park, a water slide, things like that, would that fit in here or not fit in?
So it would be more of a tourist commercial type of use than a general commercial.
My question was kind of more, do we want to allow for that or not?
I would like to see us allow for, not necessarily an amusement park per se, but as we go down the road, we've already run across a couple of years ago, someone wanting to put in the small amusement park down there at the corner of 50. And we already know that Mexico Beach had amusement type things here in the past, at miniature golf, go-karts, skating rink, those kinds of things. And there are a lot of people who would like, myself included, who would like to see maybe some of those smaller things come back at some point. You know, miniature golf, I don't see the harm in that, but we've already said, so in one of the documents that miniature golf can't be brought in, which doesn't make any sense, but I would like to see us be able to at least consider some of the smaller type amusement things somewhere. So if that
Right.
needs to be put somewhere.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I just had an envision of, my vision of Mexico Beach is not Beach Drive in Panama City.
No.
So that's why I wanted to look at this and say, you know, do we want that? And if we don't, then what do we do to kind of cut that off at the pass rather than fight the battle down the road when it says amusement park? It's okay.
I would totally agree with you there. I'm even thinking of an indoor miniature golf that's completely enclosed in a metal building of some kind. I've seen lots of them played it before. You know, it doesn't have to be, don't want PCB
Right.
and all that stuff. No, but if we just have one somewhere, I think it needs to be considered at some point because there's more and more interest in it.
Okay,
And it would give people, you know, something to do.
right.
But yes, I'm all for curtailing the big stuff. I don't want a carousel.
So what do we do? Do we say anything or we just,
It's kind of hard to monitor, to regulate size of a use.
right?
I guess what you would have to do is say, in tourist commercial, you'd have to limit the acreage of a parcel that a tourist commercial would be, I guess, to help prevent the bigger things.
I wouldn't have any idea what that acreage number would be either, if we were gonna look at that.
Well, I can look and see what some of like the miniature golf places out of the beach require have for
Yeah.
acres.
Well, there's one going in Port St. Joe. I don't know how many acres that is.
That's a pretty big one. Yeah, but I mean, like, for instance, there's one at, the drive, the corner where you turn to go over to St. George Island, that's itty bitty, and it's 2 9-hole
Mhm.
golf courses. I mean, it's not much bigger than this room. We limited the acreage for RV parks.
So let's flag that one as more research.
Or, you know, just one comment, Dave. You're putting in, Williams putting in some sort of RV park right down at the end of St. John 386. It might be developments like this right there, that's Scott County, so we really don't have much say in that. Do we? I mean, in other words, what's going to happen on 386 may be a whole thing of words, this whole thing. Can you anticipate that development? You know, I mean, there's just big swaths of land there. I think some of that belongs to St. Joe, but how can we address that now?
If it's not in the city,
We
there's-
already have noise problems with, you know, to look at. I mean, we,
if it's not in the city, there's nothing we can do.
It's outside the city. It's supposed to be in Gulf County.
correct.
You can do it.
But we have some vacant acres on this side of 386, it's just, it's kind of sick.
You could limit amusements in the tourist commercial category to be less than an acre in size.
Well, that's a good thought, but let's do some research so we know,
Okay.
I don't know how much room a water slide takes, or the bungee jump, or something like that.
Oh, yeah, you can put a bungee jump on an acre.
Yeah. So,
Yeah, you're gonna have a hard time, even if you limit the size, as, you can't anticipate anything that could go there, everything that could go there, so. If you don't want a bungee jump, then
okay.
that's difficult.
Well, just have
Zip
to,
lines, would that be in the same area?
I'm sorry?
Zip lines, you know, just having a kind of eco park or something.
I would consider that a tourist amusement. I don't know if an attorney would, but I would consider that a tourist amusement.
yeah. Okay, well, we need some homework on that one. Anybody else on that? Kind of brings us down to industrial.
When you get, just as another thought on that, when you get into tourist amusements, there's kind of a really fine gray line. It's the difference between that and just pure recreation. Like the zip line could be a recreational activity also.
Yeah, I think we need some activities, there's no question. It's just be nice to have what we would like to have. On industrial, my first comment is I'm down on number 3. Height no more than 50 feet. So with the exception of towers and other structures needed to service the primary function of the use. I thought about a concrete plant, shipbuilding, things that could have great big high cranes, and then odors from like a paper mill, which we don't have anymore, never had, but in our area we had. So those were just some things that I thought we might not want in industrial.
Well, the tower, the crane would be exempt because it would be considered a structure needed to service the primary function of the site, the use, I'm sorry. The development restrictions on part 6 would be something we would include in the LDRs that would address the noise, smoke, glare, and other issues, compatibility issues.
Okay, so we've got the odor, or we don't have odor in there.
Where is the industrial zone?
It won't be mapped until somebody comes and applies for it and the city council approves that. That's just be a category.
Why?
Could take our agricultural land and ask to have it zoned industrial.
Where would you put cell towers? I mean, you've got some on Howard's property, and there's a couple more. One is trying to go in by Beacon Hill Park, that's right in the residential area, and I see it stopped. Now, is that?
It's usually addressed in your LDR. I don't know if you have a cell tower
We got
ordinance.
cell tower at City Hall, I mean, at City Yard, don't we?
We do.
It's been there for years.
It has been. And I have no idea under what regulation they got it in. to be honest. Because LDR doesn't mention towers and that sort of thing.
Well, the city of Tallahassee had a big problem with them years ago, and the start of regulating was down in Tampa, St. Pete, where they're popping up everywhere in banks and so forth. So they had to do a cell tower controlling ordinance to control them. So that might be something you want to put in the back of your pocket. You know, where would you put them, and how are we saturated with cell towers? Do we need any more if they develop a big St. Joe swath on the west side?
Well, actually, Bay County is looking to put in a tower for our 800 megahertz radio system for Bay County, and they need to put one in Mexico Beach, because otherwise, if they don't, we're not gonna be able to get the signal for the 800 megahertz. So we gotta put it somewhere, and at this point, I looked up and I couldn't find where it's listed in the LDR.
Where do you live, Mel? Your backyard, maybe?
Well, I live at Paradise Shores, you put it on top of that.
That actually would be a perfect location for it, that little strip between Paradise Shores and that new subdivision.
There you
Stay
go.
right there.
Yeah, I'm sure Mike Big Money happy to sell that property.
So communications towers are usually classified differently than mobile phone cell towers, too, because they generally have to be taller than a
Okay.
cell tower.
And yeah, Bay County did say it needs to be like 260 feet tall, which is a lot.
Yeah.
They probably need it above the tree line.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
How tall is our current tower?
Well, it's not our tower, it's,
Well, you know what I mean.
right, we leased the property to
Yeah.
American Tower, so I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Is it taller than the water tank?
Oh, it's topped of the water tower, yeah, the water tower is 110 feet.
So let's add somewhere in here, we need some tower language.
Well, that will go in the LDRs.
Okay.
Typically, yeah. It's more
Okay.
like detailed type regulation.
All right. That's all I had on industrial. Anybody else have anything?
Nope.
Okay. I'm over on public institutional. First one I had, while you guys are looking at that, is down there, the one highlighted in yellow, 4(3), I guess. If intent is to allow these uses in all land categories, then they should be listed in each allowable uses section of the corresponding category. And the uses are houses of workshops, worship, cemeteries, public institutions, public uses such as parks, government buildings, and recreational spaces. So, is it better to leave it like this or try to put it in every category?
If you want to have it in every category, then my question is, why would you need a public institutional category? Because if you're going to allow
Right.
these uses in every other use, then you don't need a separate use for it.
Yep. So what's your recommendation?
My recommendation is to have a separate use for it, and just delete that part at the end that was stricken through.
Okay. So we allow them, and we want them, and we've got a section for that. Okay.
Public institutions would include hospitals, city buildings, schools, incarcerations, that kind of thing. It's an institution, used for public purpose.
Okay. Recreation, popular category. The impervious surface area, section 4, under recreation. I guess we're kind of back to what's recreation. Is it
Right,
amusement,
that's so
or
broad.
is it a ball field, or
Right.
is it a basketball court, or a
Right.
tennis court, or pickleball courts, or whatever? So, yes, the impervious seems high, but if we wanted to squeeze courts in someplace,
Right. That's-
I don't think it's that high.
Or if you, parking lots.
Right.
or impervious surface.
Yeah.
Campgrounds, if you have campgrounds that have, concrete pads for the RVs, that's a
trying to do courts, it actually seems low.
It does, yeah,
What do you do with the other 50%?
right. Stone parking rather than paved parking. Work.
So it's a number you guys need to kind of give direction on.
50 was in there before?
I don't think you have.
Mel, you're kind of the pervious, impervious,
Yeah, you didn't have a number before.
okay.
Is there precedent from other communities on this one?
It varies so widely just because of the reasons that you said.
Are you in the comp plan, Mel? Is that the language? Or where are you?
I can get the comp plan.
No, I mean, what were you just looking at there? Because it had 50%. That's the comp plan.
I'm thinking of something like this, because it had the same comment.
Oh,
The same
okay,
time.
just didn't have
Yeah, yeah.
underlines and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have to put we don't have to put a number in there.
Well, you have to have parameters. So, yes, you have to have something. Protect development parameters by statute.
Yeah. I mean, all the things we're talking about are really neat things, I think, so if we needed to go to 75% or whatever, to me, it wouldn't be, I'd rather give it there than give it up on some of the other building aspects.
Yeah, we're talking about destinations that many individuals will use,
Yeah.
almost like
Yeah.
commercial. Like
Yeah.
we're going to use, it's not just one person, like my individual home, it's 40%.
Right.
I get that. I would be fine with 75 or 80% here.
Okay.
We got the
Commercial's 90.
plan on, where it says public institutional intensity.
Not to exceed
32
90% of lot
99%.
coverage.
Okay.
It's public and institutional, it's one
Yeah.
recreation.
Right.
Sure.
So if public's 90, then certainly 75 or 80 wouldn't be out of line based on recreational. Do it, so
So you want to go with 80?
I think that'd be fine. We can change something if we need to when we get closer to that. Understanding what the intent is, that we'd love to have as many recreation things as we can get. And along those lines, a note I put out on the side was a skate park. Would that be in this category?
Yes.
Okay.
So in that vein of thinking, do you want to remove the word limited where it says, on the first intent, this land use category is intended to provide limited active, or just put it to be active and passive? So we would eliminate, if you want to go more, intense, so to speak, then I would recommend removing limited and just call it active and passive recreation.
Okay.
Okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine. So, any other comments on that one?
No, in the allowable uses, I don't see any reference to a court, which might want to add that. It says.
Like a tennis
it says
court or-
sports fields, but not courts.
Mm-hmm. Good point. Particularly with the pickleballers, we gotta make sure they're covered.
So sports fields and courts.
Yep. Okay, Conservation District. So, help us understand your comment down there. Preservation and conservation may be very similar categories. Need to discuss the intent of the differences between the two. Do we need to differentiate?
No, you can have one category.
To me, they're almost exactly the
Yeah,
same.
that's, yes.
To simplify, it seems like you just combine them and before we do that, let's look at preservation to see if there's anything there that we like or don't like, which is the next one down from there. I had jotted in the corner, and it was a while ago that I looked at this, but I had written in beach park and all beaches under preservation. So would a beach park fall under preservation or conservation, or I guess it
Recreation.
depends on what kind of park it was,
Yeah. Well, if people
whether it was
are
pervious or
recreating-
impervious.
Yeah. If people are recreating, you probably want to consider it recreation, but I don't know that you've got the beaches classified on your map. Is that,
The zoning map?
yeah, I'm thinking it belongs to the state, doesn't it? Beaches?
Up to the high tide
Okay.
line. Right now, it appears that a good bit of them has a designation of preservation.
Okay.
Some have none at all.
I think for the beaches, whatever would be the most strict is, what we would,
But
That's
do you
the
still
golden
wanna
goose.
combine them to one category?
I think it's okay.
Wouldn't preservation sometimes carry the connotation of historic, like a historic preservation
You can.
and conservation? or-
Preservation usually is no development whatsoever. You might have a board walk through it so you can view wildlife, but
Natural.
yeah.
So, just thinking out loud, where does the pier fall in?
That to me would be recreation.
Because it crosses the preservation zone.
But what's unfortunate with the way most of these work is that you have to be able to click on a parcel to give it a designation, because these are based off of parcel maps. So if you can't click on a pier, then there's no way to map it, so to speak. So it would just have to be, listed somewhere in your plan as a recreation area.
There's 37th Street right there where my little hand's waving.
Yeah.
And it's zone preservation there on the beach itself. I do have another question though, while we're talking about recreational type things. A lot of people come to Mexico Beach just for the day. A lot of people from Glen Haven and whatever come just for the day to see our beach. They park on 98. 98 on certain days is very congested parking wise, and people open their doors into traffic, and to me, that's a major problem. Where do parking lots fall in zoning categories? And here's the reason I ask. The Malabers are putting up a subdivision right now behind Paradise Shores. Years ago, that was proposed to be rezoned commercial for the purpose of putting in a parking lot that would have had a lot of facilities for people to park there and walk to the beach, and that was denied because of the potential of what commercial could have been there, and they didn't want that there. I understand that completely. So was there another designation for parking lots that would make more sense?
Well, if it's going to be a parking lot for recreational uses, then what we should do is list parking lots associated with beach access or something in your allowable uses under recreation.
Okay. Of course, it's very difficult in this day and age for property so expensive that it doesn't make sense to put a parking lot there.
Right. So would that solve the problem though, or?
That would solve it in the future, yeah.
Okay.
You can't go back in time and change it though.
Right. I thought I had read in your transportation element somewhere that you didn't allow parking on the right of way.
Well.
And I have a question, and that's the next chapter we're gonna get to.
Okay.
Right.
Whether or not that was.
Depends on who you ask.
Right. Okay, so,
Well, I have something. I don't know, do our dunes that you have the beach and you have the highway, the dunes in between them, right? Do the dunes fall under the category of beach? The reason I'm asking, we're having more and more people cut through those dunes because they don't want to go to a boardwalk. And in the last 3 years, I've probably seen half
The dedicated beach.
the dedicated beach down here. Do we need to do something where we can protect those dunes more, because there's more and more people cutting through them and playing on them?
You can put up those bats, that would discourage cannibal walking.
Can we plant sand spurs now?
So just as a planning aspect, that's a prime example of what you might want to classify as preservation. Because you don't want anybody to touch it, to move
Right.
it, to destroy it. Same with wetlands that you might want to protect. But practically speaking and physically speaking, I don't know the solution to keep people from going through there, but on the map, that's something that you might want to consider for preservation. It's not a,
I read we have something someplace that talks about using only the dedicated paths to the beach area. Where that was, I don't know, but might have been in one of our flyers or someplace. So, well, then we
leave
definitely
no
want to
trace.
include the dunes. I think that's a good point and then we can back off from that and say only the designated paths, existing designated paths as determined by the city or something like that, rather than Lisa determining which path she wants to use.
are they actually parking there and getting out of their car? And-
Oh, yeah.
So maybe there's no parking area right there to prevent them.
Oh,
Well, it's all the way down 98.
yes, it's the entire length.
Yeah, I just don't know how if you start taking, I don't know, probably won't do that,
Well, I'm thinking in a few years, because in the last 3 years, I've seen a massive increase. And I'm just thinking that we might have to do something in the upcoming near future to try to prevent that, because,
Might we get the DEP coastal office to say this is a dune restoration area, or they can come out and tell you what you do need dune restoration work, because, the dunes do mitigate storm surge and stuff like that. And I think they comment on that, about a third of dune restoration projects run, so perhaps Mexico Beach can call them up and see if dune restoration can be restored, people will cross over and beat it down and so forth.
Well, and Walton County has a very good dune protection system ordinance too.
We have some environmentally sensitive land sections in here that might be where, what Mr. Driver's talking about, that might give us some teeth to do something, so we'll take a look at that.
yeah, I'd just like to see some
Yeah.
sort of protection for the dunes.
So
Egg.
on that topic, that's where you would maybe have a little difference between conservation and preservation. Preservation is actually looking at conservation, which would let you do some kind of
Yep.
stuff in there.
Would you ferret that out for us?
Okay.
That's why we pay you the big bucks. Okay, any other comments on that one? Move down to the next one, agriculture. I just had development restrictions. We have a slaughterhouse there, or not permitted. Is there anything else that pops to somebody's mind who's been raised in the country that we don't want to have in our area?
Hog farm. I don't want to see hogs and all the nitrates that come with it.
Yeah. It's a good point. There's certainly spots in Florida that are having difficulty with that. We
So
put it in.
I think that I would suggest you talk to your attorney though, to find out if there's any legal,
I was gonna say, it may be difficult to just
eliminate.
eliminate that use.
Do we have any agricultural left inside the city limits?
The Corey property is agricultural.
No, it's residential low density.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, you're right.
This is a new category, you don't currently have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not listed on there at all, so.
So
So do we need it?
Well,
you're supposed to by statute. Those are
Okay.
the categories you have to have that minimum,
All right, well, good. Hopefully, the problem we never have to worry about.
but it doesn't have to be on the map, it just has to be an option.
right, so if someone wanted to do something, they would have to come and get a zoning change, and that's when everything would come out.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it does.
Okay.
So are we going to, do you want me to include that and you'll talk to the attorney, or do you want me to wait until you talk to the attorney about that? Or do you want to just?
I'll just next time I talk to our attorney, I'll mention it to him. I want to do a lot of research on it, but
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident you can't single out one thing.
I'm pretty confident you're right.
So what about the slaughterhouse thing? Should we have anything in there? It was in there before.
Yeah, but that could be considered a processing type. I mean, I think it's one thing to farm something, it's another thing to process it.
Well, let's leave it like it is. That's at least got something in there. And then if Mel gets any good news, we'll put the other one in there. Okay, so I'm over to 4, number 4, and then 4 after that. EPA, I
Policy
had,
1.1.2,
I'm at, yeah, 1.1.4, 4, and then 4 again. So where it says, consider eliminating this section and simply require the applicant to follow state law, I think that's a no-brainer. That's what we've done all the way through it to do that. And then down below that, water quality adjacent bodies, and then the one below that, I think that's all yes, state regulations, unless there's something we want to do that's, I think it'd be hard to even be more strict than the state, so it seems like, and then by using the state regulations, just like we talked about before, if the state updates it, then we, you know, our plan isn't out of date, we're just using the regulations, so I think that would work great. Then I'm right above 1.2.2, which is about a page over. This is a statutory language and does not need to be restated here. That's more of your editing where it starts out in conjunction with its land development regulations, where you've just taken that whole section out, which I think is fine, along with the section before that. So really after the section we just talked about, we're using the state regulations, then all that's marked through, and then we're down to objective 1.3. Anybody has anything we've marked through that we should leave out or leave in? I think that's the way we're headed. So then I'm down to 1.3.1, which I think brought up some interesting aspects. Coordinate with developers of areas considered to be blighted or unsightly. Such coordination may include blah, blah, blah. And then my question was, who determines what areas are blighted? And is that something we need to address? Or are we being too specific already by having this in here?
Yeah, somebody would have to do a study and classify an area as blighted.
Right.
It's like, for those communities that adopted CRA, they have to do a study on blight and all kinds of different aspects of the area before they can be considered a CRA. So, not that this pertains to CRAs, but it's that kind of analysis that you're gonna have to look at before you would designate something as
Okay.
blighted.
So it's going to be hard to do anyway.
Could you say that the blighted area might be the area that's received a lot of complaints and violations from the city of zoning, infestation, rats, weeds, and so forth? In other words, build a history of poor maintenance or something in an area, or a lot? I guess that'd be enforcing LDRs.
I mean, it's up to, if the city wanted, I think that's kind of where I was going here, if the city wanted to create a boundary of an area that they want to target, and I know you don't have the luxury of seeing this language, but it talks about creating a boundary of an area that you want to target for redevelopment or economic incentives by just, choosing an area on the map that you want to
think right now that'd be difficult for us to, I mean, you'd have to have a study done, and I like your point, except I'm just thinking out loud, a blighted area, we could have a lot of complaints over a vacant lot that nothing was built on or anything at all, where there was, it really just needed to be cleaned up, as opposed to, you know, blighted, I kind of think of unused buildings and things like that.
And we have, I think, mostly unimproved lots too. You know, I mean, I have some on Missouri Drive and there's some all around town that just seem to be overgrown, nuisances and maybe bears or whatever. So, you know, the city concentrated on trying to get the owners, and most of this is residential, I guess. There are very few commercial blighted areas in town, so.
Yeah.
You know, would that be the only legal mechanism to kind of single out these, if there's more than one unconforming lot? Because, you know, I guess we're trying to pass an ordinance now for the overall look of the community and so forth, size of structures and so forth, so why not, you know, lots and undeveloped acreage that are not, I guess, at a certain level of enjoyment or beauty or whatever, or you know, fitting in with the neighborhood, you know, just saying, because neighborhoods change as they develop, and some areas do not change. You know, maybe they become less desirable or what.
Well, you could always just create a policy and then later on down the road, if you want to create an area.
Area.
you
Yeah, I
have
think
that.
that's the way to do it. It gives us a tool to go in and say, okay, we've now determined that after this hurricane, this particular area is really bad or whatever, so works from there. Okay, we've got about 10 more minutes, so I don't want to rush through this, but I want to make sure we're moving. I'm down to the hurricane evacuation through appropriate land use, objective 1.5. Yeah, and then exceed 1.5.1, exceed hurricane evacuation capabilities within the city jurisdiction. I mean, I recognize bigger cities have this. Is this regulations that we have to have in here?
Yes, it's a statutory requirement, and Bay County, is because they're the EMS provider, they have adopted a certain clearance time out of Bay County. And that study is compiled by the West Florida Regional Planning Council, who looks at
Okay.
evacuate people, how many people, population, road capacities, and who's in the coastal high Harrison area, and who's in category A, who's to be evacuated in certain. So I think,
I guess then you just need to give us the minimum that we need in here.
okay, yeah.
I don't envision that we'll have or would have in the future any hurricane evacuation issues as far as, yeah. And then,
Bill, could I ask, do we have a CEMP? I mean, I know Bay County does. County Master Emergency Plan by law, you're supposed to have one, and we're supposed to be conformity with it.
What did you call it?
A CEMP, County Master Emergency Management Plan. I've got a copy of it, and that's one of the things I was gonna bring you. I mean, it's, by state law, I mean, everybody has to form their EOC, which ours is Bay County, has to perpetuate that.
We've got a plan.
yeah,
We've got a plan.
We do, and will we kind of reference it in here or something? I mean, is there gonna be,
I think there was a reference to where it actually said that it was supposed to be provided or updated once a year or sent.
you know,
So I think we've already got that language covered. I did see that someplace where
Yeah,
it said about.
there's a policy proposed that says the city manager shall annually provide a report to the city council that shows the current hurricane evacuation
Right,
capacities of the properties located in the coastal high hazard area.
yeah.
Well, at first, I kind of freaked when I read that because I'm thinking, how can Melissa Migelski possibly get a plan together that is this difficult
No,
to do?
This isn't the plan, this is just, it's basically taking what development orders you've approved over the last 12 months and figuring out which one of those are in the coastal high hazard area.
Okay, but I feel better because we don't have a city manager in Mexico Beach, so that doesn't exist.
All right, I'll note that.
Exactly.
All right. Okay, good points. Um,
It is the current procedure because we just did an agreement with the Farmdale people
Okay,
west of town.
okay.
And we have water and sewer hookups across 386 now.
Exactly. We do provide sewer for Beacon Hill.
In Gulftown?
Yes.
Wow.
Mhm.
Until which time Gulf County, Port St. Joe gets their own lines to provide that service, then we'll gladly give it back.
And then policy 1.6.2, the city shall maintain land use districts and densities as appropriate to promote infill of vacant areas.
Yeah, I
I
had,
just don't understand the policy, I guess. I think
Right.
that You're already doing that, so.
I just had no on that, just eliminate the thing. And then on 1.6.3, we had, it's the same thing, promote infill development by 2022. I don't think we need to do that. And then this one is a little bit of a sticky one, 1.6.4. This is more that infill to keep it in. It talks about home-based businesses and allowing home occupation in residential areas. Based on what we've voted on recently, we don't want that.
We don't want home businesses.
That's what we voted on a couple instances in the past, so
I don't know,
unless I'm
If-
misinterpreting that.
I think the way that we voted on it is if they wanted to rezone it commercial. I'm wondering how many small, based on this language, how many
So this-
insurance adjusters work out of their
Yeah.
home, and that's considered a home-based business.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Or-
And they don't see clients and parking and,
right. I guess I was thinking, and that's a great point, you know, in my mind, retail home-based business
Yeah.
is what I'm thinking.
Because
And
that was
the
what we
issue
had
had.
addressed with the bakery.
Exactly.
you know, my last two corporate positions, my office was in my home.
Yep.
Clients didn't come there, I just went to work.
Yeah, and that's great.
I think, see, I operate the newspaper out of my home. I think my clients, my subscribers don't come to me. And that was answered when I got my business license for the newspaper, because I do not have clients coming to my house. I could operate from my home.
Mhm.
And there are a number of people who have internet-based businesses. that do
Yeah,
that.
it's very common to list regulations in the land development regulations about the parameters of what a home-based business can be. Usually it can't be retail, usually you can't have,
True.
people parking in your.
Right.
So I say parking
Right.
was one of the big issues
Yeah.
that we were concerned
That's-
about when one issue came
Can't
up.
have additional traffic, can't have signage.
Yeah, I think we're happy to have.
I was kind of
Jack's
surprised
talking
by
about.
one word, the way it says the city shall promote entrepreneurs. I can understand allowing it, but then
Yeah.
when are they going to promote it?
I
By
guess-
allowing home occupations.
Yeah.
But we can just say allow. It should be some,
Okay. And
by-
do we want to put in there something about with traffic restrictions or?
Did you say that was in your ordinance?
Yeah,
No.
there's a section in the LDR about home occupations. And, you know, you can't have a sign more than, 4 square feet or something like that, very small. And you can't have outdoor storage, things of that sort. So it lists it pretty well.
So, under that, with the incident that we talked about that we voted against, would that have been,
That's a totally different
Covered.
duck.
okay,
That's a retail bakery that was,
right, and that to me is what we don't want.
right,
Okay. What Jack's talking about, we absolutely want, so
exactly.
we want more people to come down and be able to do their business from their house and then go to the
Indeed.
beach in the afternoon. Okay. So then the promoting the infill by 2022, we don't need a date in there or anything like that. We're trying to make this not date sensitive. And then, okay, so let's try to get this, might be a little sticky. So on 1.8, the city shall identify and require protection of historically significant properties as recognized by federal, state, and county and local registers. My understanding is that we don't have any historical significant properties.
Okay.
So I'm not sure we need,
Is there anything listed on the state master file? No?
I'm not aware of any.
Okay.
not sure we need all this in here.
Well,
Could you call the shipowner, State Historic Preservation Office, do they have items?
well, the issue is that the statutes require you to adjust this. So, that's why it's in here.
Okay,
I wonder if they're gonna be-
And they require you to adjust
We don't have it.
historical.
I just didn't want to be stuck with an old
Yeah,
rundown
right.
building.
If it
They won't
doesn't
let us
fit,
do
if
it.
you don't,
Right.
if it doesn't fit today, what, it might fit in 10 years. I don't know.
I was trying to be less aggressive on keeping things, I guess.
Right.
Not
No, I
wanting to
get
be
it.
stuck with 3 walls of brick that were historic for some reason that's in the middle of, a place we don't want it. So
Yep.
I'm all for a church or something like that that's historic or really something that makes some sense, but
The Parker House is gone.
Parker House is gone.
Yeah.
Not sure it was historic, but.
Maybe in 40 or 50 years, that bathroom sitting in the middle of the park may be historic.
Yeah. Okay, so are you all right with that on,
Well, we can, I mean, if you, I was just reading, ensure the protection of natural and historic resources. But if you don't have anything, then we can remove it.
okay, I think the simpler the better. 10 years from now, when they redo this one, they can figure out whether they have anything historic or not.
So basically get rid of 1.8.
Get rid of which one?
1.8 then.
Yeah.
1.8.1.
So 1.9.1, let's see. if I must have-
If we go, yeah.
Okay, did you have something else?
No.
Okay.
Transportation and parks concurrency are now a local policy decision, not a state mandate, so it's up to you whether or not you want to retain those.
I think go with the state stuff.
So the reason why you might want to retain those is it's a funding source for those types of facilities. If you ever,
Ah,
want to adopt, you don't have impact fees, do
yeah, we
Did you hear
do.
the question?
you? Do you have impact fees?
Yes.
Mhm.
For which services?
Sewer.
Water, sewer, fire, recreation.
Please.
That's right.
Some jurisdictions have impact fees for transportation impacts, some have for parks, so that helps them fund those types of facilities.
Okay,
Oh, you do have parks? Okay, so you don't want to get rid of parks because you
Right.
collect an impact fee
Right.
for parks. So you want to keep park concurrency, and so it's the transportation one. If you don't have a transportation problem, if you don't have, I don't know what
We-
98's like.
yeah, we could though, I mean, there could be, we're gonna someday have the Back Beach Road, which could cause some issues, so, let's just leave it and then they'll cover us. If that's okay. All right, I think that's a good stopping point. We could go on and on and on, but we said we'd do an hour and 15 minutes, and I appreciate everybody's time.
So we're at 1.10.
1.9.2 would be our starting point, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
1.9.2, okay, it's gone down a little too
And along those lines, Mel, you said, as far as our next meeting goes, you said we don't have anything on the agenda for our next regular meeting, so
Right.
my recommendation would be is we just keep our regular meeting and then work on the comp plan at our regular meeting, which is
October the 2nd.
Okay, at 6 o'clock.
Correct.
Is that work for everybody?
October what now?
Second.
Second.
Second, at 6 o'clock.
And I heard you talking earlier about, trying to move through this on Tuesday night meetings.
Yeah.
Actually, Mondays work better for me because I'm working for a couple of other governments.
Actually, I think we can wait till the October 2nd one, but I was thinking that, I don't know what everybody's schedule is during the day, but
That's just 2 weeks away, October 2nd.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. We'll just leave the October 2nd and then at that meeting decide. I was thinking like if we did every other week, just kept clicking every other week, even if we only did it for an hour and a half or hour and 15 minutes, because, we're really not that far, unfortunately, through the plan.
You're actually doing pretty well.
Yeah, but look how thick that thing is.
You're doing very well based on my experience.
I think we're down, if we finish the pages that we had, that would only put us on page 40 of the comp plan of 160 or however many are there, so we still got a ways to go. And I know we're in the meat right now, so it goes slow. So let's just say October 2nd, and then at that meeting, we'll decide whether we want to try to hit a Tuesday or a Monday on a more regular basis to keep moving through. Because we're going to get into the holiday season, that's going to make it a lot tougher. And once you kind of stop, it's hard to get started again.
Yeah, you're right.
And the second is on a Monday, so that's,
Yep. Okay.
Getting us on the right track.
So does anybody else have anything? Mel, do you have any miscellaneous?
I'm happy to report that I do not.
Good. Okay, meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Buying
Ben.
the lunch.
Yep.
Take a couple pieces home if you want.
Yeah, please do.